Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King, and today I'm going to be giving you a brand new series. What if Naruto was a godlike genius with Chakra technology? Part 1 guys. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual. Share this to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, don't forget to stay tuned for the rest of what ifs coming your way over Anime King 2, Anime King 3, and Anime Prince. Yes, if you're new, I have 4 channels guys. I post what if on all of them every single night. So 4 what ifs every single night for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Making family. And thank you for all of your help and support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be planning talking back to all of you. So yeah, without wasting any more time, what do you say we just leap on into this new series? Start the intro guys. Before they start guys, there's a few things that you should know. The population is a bit more realistic. So there's no child soldiers. And everyone graduated from the academy at 18 years old. So they all would be a bit more grown up. So yeah guys, just sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy. So let's just jump right into this new series guys. We live in a world that is full of infinite possibilities. There are things that we have yet to discover about chakra and how it actually works. Did you know that the human chakra can be split into 2 different components? The physical and mental, the yin and yang. Yang chakra would give to the body. It is what makes your body function. It's not just the blood flowing to the vessels or the organs that drive our bodies. There is something much deeper at work. Something that can be explained by chakra. And the yin chakra cannot be ignored either. It is what gives you your spirit. The feeling of being you, seeing the world from your perspective, the ability to hear yourself think, the unique thing that no one can take away from you, until you die that is. Just consider for 1 second, the amazing possibilities. My experiments have taught me that chakra doesn't behave like what you see. It's different, it has a certain twist to it. I am not sure how this works, but it is theoretically possible to create a battery that have chakra and use an amplifying seal to produce output that are far greater than the input. It's nothing like how energy works, it's completely different. It is amazing what someone can achieve, only if they have the mind for it. Imagine for a second having infinite electricity, never having to get fuel because your chakra is fuel enough. Is it the spiritual aspect that made this? I can't really say myself, but what I can say is if chakra can replenish your body, and not having any would kill you, then that means you can breathe life in to any objects and give them a life of their own after all. That is the basic of chakra with the spiritual aspect. So the possibility is endless. That is my ultimate goal. The aim of my experiment. What a loaded crap this is, Ryuzu, a bearded civilian said. All of that he was just reading in a book that he found. The book was full of outrageous ideas. Something like that wasn't even possible. The writer talked about making chakra converters so that people who didn't have the ability to use a particular affinity could use them anyway. No one had ever done this before though. And the writer of the book was known to be a completed lunatic for this. He had died in obscurity, but his books are still around. Not many people put much thought into this. Yes, Ken, the man named Ryuzu said, as he looked at the book. Infinite electricity, yeah right. This thing is complete garbage. Check the name of the author, Ken said. I don't seem to remember for some reason. Here it is. Someone called Nakarashi T. Uzumaki. Upon hearing the last name, Ken raised an eyebrow. Hey Ryo, doesn't he have the same name as that brat? You know, the kid with the thing in his stomach. As Ryo looked like he was hit with a mallet in his head, judging by the shocked expression in his face as he realized. That brat, hey, did you hear? The Hokage put him in his own building. I can't believe this crap. How does that kid get his own building, while civilian businessmen like us have to toil for ages? to be able to put food on the table for a family. This favoritism makes me sick, he said, as he threw the book down. So I guess this book is useless then. As Ryusu nodded, that book was complete garbage. Just then his attention was drawn to the child. It was amazing, they were talking to him a moment ago and then, here he was. It seems like they were part of some story, where things were happening to move the story along. Hey, his last name is Uzumaki, right? Let's give his book to his successor. Ken said in ear quotes. Useless book for a useless brat. Hearing the word brat, Naruto looked up. He was used to that a lot. As he looked up to see a book being thrown to his face, it hit him right in the face as it fell to the ground. He looked down towards the ground before he reached and picked up the book. He looked it over before he stuffed it in his jacket and simply walked off. Good shot and good riddance, Ryu told Ken. Ken and Ryu were people that often start a movement in history. It was like a pebble being thrown into water. Hitting a lake, there were ripples, and those ripples caused effects. Effects after effects that lead to a devastating butterfly effect somehow. And they just changed the course of history by throwing that book towards Naruto Uzumaki without even knowing it. Poor thing, they will even die without even knowing what they did. However, they had started something amazing with said child. He was 3 years old when he learned how to write. Just 3. While most other kids were struggling to base the concept of writing and reading, he was moving at a much advanced pace. He had just grasped every letter and kanji, just like that. It had not made his caretakers happy. They gave him rather suspicious looks when he did that. It took him a week to master the writing, and it wasn't those jibber jabber that those stupid kids did. His handwriting was spotless, as he then needed something more challenging because those were long past in just a week. He had to move on to something more advanced, except there were none. He just stood there watching the orphans play with each other, ignoring him. So he decided to play within his mind. However, his caretakers scowled at him for just standing there not doing anything, and they sent him back to his room. He had no idea what he did to deserve this treatment, but he knew that he was better than the way that he was being treated. And he deserved better, and one day when he can, he will do something about it. He was almost 5 when it happened. They had finally kicked him out. They had just started teaching kids at the academy basic things. Things that Naruto had already completed a long time ago. It made him realize that they would just hold him back. It was a waste of time, really. He had taken to wander on the street, and he had found someone throwing an old tattered book away. As he picked it up and it read, The Basics of Chakra, for age 6 to age 12. He didn't know what chakra was, but he did know that he wanted to be a ninja. He had saw a ninja do things like breathe fire, and it had fascinated him quite a lot. He felt like he was entitled to it. After all, he was smarter than everyone else his own age. Even people who were even 5 years older than him, he was smarter than them. Things came to him easily. He could understand things just after reading it once. Even if it was something difficult, it didn't take him long to assimilate the knowledge into his brain rather quickly. As he then realized that ninjas use chakra to do the superhuman things that they did with their body. And this book can teach him how to use chakra. The book was about to fall apart though, so he had to handle it carefully. The age of getting into the academy was 12 years old, and you had to leave when you were 18 years old. But you had to be prepared, and there was a chance of failing. However, he will never fail, he thought to himself. As he took up a new challenge, mastering chakra, he did everything the book told him, starting by meditating to get use of his chakra. As he meditated daily, it took him some time before he felt the tug. He yanked on it as he found out about his chakra pool. The book had told him not to do this alone. However, there was no one around to help him, so he just kept on pulling. But it seems like he pulled a bit too much, because there was an explosion. When he woke up, he was in a strange white room. White sheet, white bed, white ceiling. He hadn't been here before, but something told him that he was going to get used to this. He looked around until a rough voice called out to him. I wouldn't move around if I were you. As he turned his head to the right side, as he saw a very old man wearing a hat. He knew this man, his face was engraved on the mountain. He was the third Hokage of the village, hidden in a leaf. Here is in Sarutobi. He had seen the Hokage several times. He had come to inspect the orphanage. He never understood why the Hokage would waste his time visiting orphans like him. He was sure that there was other things that he could do, like running the village and making sure there was no corruption and people were not getting ripped off. After all, that happened a lot. It's you, said Naruto, with a tone that was almost bored. I've been greeted in a lot of ways, Shock, fear, happiness. But this is a first for me, Naruto, he said. I hope you know, I feel honored. Not every day a 5-year-old greet the Hokage. With a gaze of pure boredom, he said. I don't need you to patronize me. I want to leave, said Naruto. He was already losing interest in this conversation. He wasn't even sure if he had none in the first place. I understand that you want to leave, but you can't leave without knowing why you were here in the first place, Naruto. Hiruzen said. As Naruto chose to remain quiet, he had an idea why he was here. However, the book even said that he shouldn't do this by himself, so that could get him into trouble. So he decided to shut his mouth. You were tugging on your chakra, and for some reason you have a lot of it. And you end up causing an explosion, blowing a hole in the wall in the room that you were in. Great, Naruto thought. Things were already not good within the orphanage. Now he had to deal with this when he got back. They had not really punished him, it was always scowls and glares. But this time he knew within his heart that they would be punishing him. I just have to ask one question, Naruto. If you were good enough to gain access to your chakra merely 3 days after finding a book about it, without anyone's help at all, what makes you think that it was a good idea to tug on it, when you specifically was told that you need a supervision there? Normally, kids your age doesn't do something like this. That is something kids learn at the academy at the age of 12. They already had to prepare themselves for it at a mentally young age. So why did you do something so risky? The man was serious. While Naruto wasn't fond of him, he realized that he was going to have to respect this authority figure. It did need an adult to tell that the Hokage was no joke. Even for an old man, he was already exuding power just by talking. However, the man knew a lot. Are you following me? Said Naruto. Yes, I'm having you followed. And before you ask me if I'm having ever orphan followed, no. I only reserve that for important people. The man wasn't being patronized and he was being straight with him. So what makes me so important? Said Naruto. The old man simply smiled, as Naruto did not know if this was a good thing or a bad thing. Naruto, you are important to me, because of both professional and personal reasons. However, that statement pissed Naruto off greatly. If he had some important and personal reasons to the Hokage, why hadn't the man ever shown up and helped him? Surely he would have seen that Naruto was doing things that were beyond the other children. That was a personal thing, right? Personal relationship when people help you out. And yet the old man had never spoken to him like this before. Tell me something. If I was of such personal significance, you sure as heck have a nice way of showing it. As a look of regret came on Hokage's face, as Naruto knew that he had him there. That was a card that he could play. The abandonment card. Naruto, can you forgive me for not being there? I feel like I've let you down. And I feel like I've let your parents down as well. His voice was laced with regret. So you know who my parents were, said Naruto. The man nodded. Well, what are you waiting for, old man, said Naruto. Naruto raised his eyebrow at how Naruto addressed him, but he shrugged it off before giving him bad news. I wish I could tell you, but your parents made me promise to not inform you until you could embrace it fully and wear their name like a badge of honor. As Naruto grit his teeth in anger, this was another thing that the old man decided to keep away from him. He wondered why people always keep things to themselves and away from him. He never had anything given to him before today, and he looked like he will never get anything. Hiruzen noticed a downtrodden look on Naruto's face as he smiled. It seems that Naruto inherited more than just his hair and his face from his father. He also got his intelligence, and perhaps he was already smarter than his father was at this age. He knew that Naruto would be responsible enough to keep this information a secret. Now he just needed to figure out a way to tell him. Naruto, I did not promise them that I wouldn't let you find out, so you can find out on your own. You are smart enough to do that, right? I won't stop you from doing that. And when you do, you can tell me and I can confirm it. A smile came on Naruto's face. He didn't expect that to happen, but the old man seemed like a pretty cool guy in his book. He was not one to be fully spoon-fed either. All he needed was just a link. And this is what he needed. He could figure it out on his own, as long as no one was actively trying to stop him from finding out. Now, we can't have you return to the orphanage. I did pay for the damages caused. I just took them from your father's account. So, that has been covered. I also recommend coming to me before you want to do something that would require supervision. Am I clear? As Naruto agreed, a building owned by someone who wanted to give it to you has been made available. Now, it isn't the best location I would want a kid to grow up in. Hiruzen said a look of disdain. However, I feel like you're smart enough not to be bogged down by it, so you can go ahead and live there. I already had all of your possessions moved there, and that include the book you found on the street. As Naruto had a grateful expression in his face, he didn't know what to say anymore. He didn't even know what he was feeling. Also, I can tell that you want to read, so you have access to a certain amount of books that I think you will like. So I went ahead and placed those in your rooms as well. Remember though, do not do something stupid that will put yourself into bodily harm. Do I make myself clear? As Naruto nodded. So what are you waiting for? Harrison said. You're free to go. An envoy will escort you. As Naruto hopped out of said bed and moved before he paused. As he turned towards the old man, Harrison raised an eyebrow. Hokage-sama, he said. Can I... As he wasn't sure if it was appropriate to ask this question. But he went ahead anyway. Can I hug you? Said Naruto. Harrison laughed as Naruto ran up to him and hugged him, as he took it as an affirmative. They hugged for a long while, and when Naruto pulled back there was tears in his eyes. Tears of joy. Calm down, Naruto. And I would like to apologize again. You can hug me every time you feel like you want to, he said. I'll do my best to make sure that you're not alone anymore. Naruto nodded as he sniffled. And call me old man, he said. I think it's gonna keep me grounded in reality. Sarutobi wasn't sure if Naruto got the message because he bounced out of there. He smiled to himself, it seems, like Naruto got the best parts of his parents. What a sappy old fool you have become, huh? As Sarutobi looked towards the window as someone was hanging outside, it was none other than the student that he had pride left in. The other two had disappointed him greatly. As Jiraiya flipped into the room and started to applaud his sensei. It's highly characteristic for you to buy a building near a brothel, isn't it? Said Sarutobi as he looked towards Jiraiya. Hey, if I know that kid was gonna live there, I would have taken a more of a tasteful residence. Perhaps the Floral District. The Floral District was a home of the Yamnaka clan. Well, not all of it. But there was a lot of civilians as well, but it got a name from the Yamnaka clan. It was also home to one of the biggest hot springs, and a popular spot for Jiraiya to peep on. So what do you think? Sarutobi said. He's a genius. 10 times the brain of his father at that age, I think. I just hope he's as interested in Fuuinjutsu as his parents was. Said Jiraiya with a thoughtful look. If he's anything like his parents, he's gonna appreciate all the books. Time skip. From that day on, Naruto stopped venturing outside for anything else, except for making run to the grocery store every week. He busied himself by reading the books on hand signs, and the books on Fuuinjutsu. It took him a day to master the book on hand signs, and he was itching to learn some techniques. But the book on Fuuinjutsu was something that he just fell in love with. He read it once, but then again, and again, and again, and again, and again. It was like he could never get bored by it. The book set his mind would imagine the potential that the art had, and he realized his potential to master and become the greatest Fuuinjutsu master in the entire world. There were books on biology and politics as well. He didn't really like politics and biology. Well, he didn't realize it either. And about history, history should stay in the past. Screw that. He wanted things that were here and now. However, there were books on the economy that he found interesting, but his love was still mostly for Fuuinjutsu. However, he realized that he was done with them. And these were just the basics. He needed more. He needed to consume more knowledge. He decided to start out with Fuuinjutsu first though, as he got some sealing paper and ink. It took him a while, but he got the hand down and storage seal rather quickly. It involved taking something and placing it into a different dimension that was suspended. However, it had a limit. He had used ramen cups. After getting 100 in there, he had a limit. As he decided to make some changes to it, it took him a third try to get it right as he increased the capacity to 150. The knowledge of breaking apart the seals meant that he come up with useless things as well, like a pranking storage seal that unseal everything every 6 minutes. He wondered if he could seal a building away. However, he realized a missing building would probably piss the old man off. He also learned how to make explosive tags, but he needed more, so he decided to show his work to the Hokage and get more books. As he was heading towards the office though, a book had hit him right in the face. As he looked towards the ground, he decided to pick it up and place it in his jacket as he headed off. When he got to a safe distance, he opened the book. As the first line he read piqued his interest. The experiments are detailed in my book. The aim is to show the world what I can achieve with planning and Fuuinjutsu. I'm going to show you that it's possible to unseal glory and seal death to achieve what is in between as well. This was different from the other books. It was immensely difficult. However, it was a challenge. Something that he would never pass up. As a big grin came to his face, he decided to cancel the plan of visiting Hokage as he just went back home. And just like that, history was going to be made. Time skip. Naruto was 7 years old as Jiraiya was standing there, looking towards Naruto who was sprawled along the floor. It seems like he just fell on the ground, too tired to even make it to bed. They had met each other 1 year ago, when Naruto had found out who his benefactor was, who had put him in this building. After that, it didn't take him too long to find out who his parents were. It didn't come to a shock to anyone that had known Naruto that he figured that out so quickly. After all, the kid was a genius. However, he was still a kid, and here he was, lying on the floor. He has no friends. His seals are his friends. That's really sad, Jiraiya thought to himself. It wasn't really that different for him as well. When he had joined Team Sarutobi, he was the odd one out with barely any friends. Tsunade was Hokage's granddaughter, and Orochimaru was making a name for himself as a certified genius. Jiraiya was talented, but it took a long while for people to acknowledge his talents. And he knew that it would take us equally as long for anyone to see Naruto for what he truly was. He looked around. There were several blueprints and plans around. He picked up one of the paper and he saw seal and arrays that even he find hard to decipher. What the hell is this kid making? There was a chakra input, complex conversion seals. Things that Jiraiya, who was a level 5 sealing art expert, would have a hard attempt cracking out. And yet this kid was shoving a variety of those in his diagram. He had some custom designed seals as well. There were books on biology just thrown around. He was sure that he saw something about the optic nerve somewhere. "Hey, pervert," said Naruto as he pulled his head up. "You know, you really shouldn't just sneak in like that. I should design a little security seal that will wake me up if an intruder try to sneak in." "I'm hurt," said Jiraiya, as he placed a hand over his chest, mock hurt. "You think your own godfather an intruder?" "Oh wow, godfather," said Naruto. "With godfathers like you, who needs intruders?" said Naruto. Naruto was still pissed off, yes he was. He had not taken the news about his parentage well, considering that he deduced why the people act that way around him. As he realized that he had a separate chakra source, it was a fox inside of him. He was a container. It took 6 months for him to speak to them. At first he was pissed off. He did not speak to Jiraiya or Sarutobi at all. He was even angry at his mother and father for stealing a fox inside of him. "How many times do I have to apologize for that?" said Jiraiya. "A few more than the number of times that you already have. Now tell me, Pervy Sage, what are you doing here?" "I was planning on getting some much needed sleep." "What are you working on, kid?" "From one seal master to another." Yes, he would call Naruto a seal master because he was pretty sure that the kid probably already surpassed him in some of the arts. Anything that he set his mind to, he always achieved. And he has been doing this sealing stuff for almost 1 year now. It was hardly that surprising given who he was related to. "Well, I would hardly say that you're a sealing master, Pervy Sage," said Naruto, as he reached and picked up a paper. Jiraiya had no idea how the kid managed to recognize where he kept everything. "Do you know what this is?" As Naruto handed him said piece of paper, Jiraiya's eyes widened when he noticed what it was. Where the hell did you get this?" he said. "This is a cage bird seal on the Hyuga's forehead." "Oh, that's not all. Hold on 1 second, said Naruto, as he pulled a panel from a television display. There seemed to be a camera connected to it from a cable. He pressed a button. "Look to your left," said Naruto. Jiraiya was shocked as hell. What he saw stunned him. There was a lifestyle recreation of the Seal of Fate just floating there. He reached out to touch it, but his hand passed right through it. "That's just a trick of the light, man." Naruto told him, "Now pay attention to the seal. I'm trying to come up with a counter to it." "Naruto, what the hell is this? How did you make it?" "It's called a hologram," said Naruto. "Well, not exactly a hologram. More like a trick of the light. It used a phenomenon many civilian physicists study. Just throw in some light, which is from that," said Naruto, as he pointed towards a projector that was connected to a plug point. As he tilted the glass at a particular angle, using some steam. "A viola. You have a life-like recreation. It kind of spoiled the image if you ask me. But it looked really cool, doesn't it?" said Naruto. "That's one of the reasons I made it." "So, you made this because it was cool," said Jiraiya, as Naruto nodded. As Jiraiya felt like he wanted to laugh. Many 7-year-old kid was out there, dreaming about becoming a ninja, and trying to learn ninja art. But here was Naruto creating a lifelike image, because he found it cool. "Where are you getting this steam from?" Jiraiya asked. Naruto reached over as he picked up another paper. "I really need to get these things in order," he said, as he unrolled the scroll and showed him the seal. "I saw the Hokage bearded son use a knife that conducted chakra. So I got some conductive metal with the money I saved, and I had it shaped into a hollow box. Now using a clever trick, amplifying the seal, I placed chakra storage seals at the bottom. Then they convert to water before they were heated up in a box. And then they convert into steam. If I run this at full capacity, it could probably work for about 3 days, before running out. I don't usually do that, so this one has lasted for a month now. Once the chakra seal is extinguished, just stick a new one in there. As Naruto kept on talking, Jiraiya was already lost. He had essentially come up with a fog machine that could use as a smoke bomb. The aspects were limitless. "Hey, are you even listening to me?" said Naruto. Jiraiya snapped back into reality. "Sorry kid, this thing is pretty amazing, but something tells me that this is probably not even your most complex work yet." As Naruto had a grin on his face, he had many more things, some of them in his mind that was beyond complex, but he hadn't put them into work yet. "Now," said Naruto as he turned back toward the hologram, "I was trying to come up with a solution to this thing. An alternate solution to the cage bird seal." "I don't understand what you mean by that," said Jiraiya. He had tried to reach out to the Hokage clan. Several human rights groups had claimed that what the Hokage clan did was slavery. However, they were stubborn and they resisted change. The cage seal in its current form could inflict torture on any of the branch members. Jiraiya knew that he was inhumane, but trying to get it changed had fallen right on deaf ears. No one would listen. "What I mean is something that is more humane," said Naruto. "I've seen this seal being used recently, and it's one of the most inhumane things I've ever seen. And I've seen a body get his head cut off." "Do I want to know about this so-called decapitation that you have witnessed?" Jiraiya said. Naruto shook his head. "This seal is complex, man. It's pretty damn complex. It's also extremely old-fashioned. It seems like they're used to doing things the old way. Surely there is something else that could protect the Byakugan, so they don't have to rely on this. I have tried to look into alternate ways of having the Byakugan protected. This seal only activates once the user dies. However, I'm sure there can be something else," said Jiraiya. "Which leads me to ask you something. You don't have any Byakugan eyes lying around, do you?" said Naruto. Jiraiya tilted his head as he looked towards Naruto. Now, Naruto has asked for some eccentric things in the past. He once asked a Hokage for some money, so that he can watch a prostitute do her work. It was not that he wanted to be aroused, but he said that he was just curious. He had often persuaded the Hokage to let him sit in on surgeries, so that he could see how the doctors do their work. But this is by far the worst, weirdest request that Naruto asks. "Oh, relax, I'm just kidding," said Naruto. "I got you good, didn't I?" Jiraiya just mumbled to himself about troublesome godsons. However, that just seemed to make Naruto laugh harder. That was another thing. Naruto had started to laugh more, and express emotions even more. It seems like working on seals had prevented him from going down a dark path. As he's silent, "Thank you, Sensei, for having the common sense to do that." "So you took a picture of the seal, and you've already deciphered most of it. Is that what you want to tell me?" said Jiraiya. As Naruto nodded, that was exactly what he wanted to convey to him. "I thought we could use something to bargain against them. I mean, didn't those stuck-up idiots claim that your seal was a work of art, superior to all others? Well, I just finished almost 90% of this piece of garbage, torturing seal, and before the end of the week I can come up with a way to preserve the Byakugan. You know, sometimes I think it was a bad thing having you play around the Hokage's office," Jiraiya said, with a smile. The kid did not speak like a question. He spoke like he was already gonna do it. "Hey, why were you here anyway?" said Naruto. "Anything important?" "Well, I was gonna drop off some things for you. You know, sealing related. However, I see that you're well beyond these books. Just leave them over there on that table. Man, I really need to learn how to organize this house before these papers bury me," said Naruto. "Huh, that would be understatement," said Jiraiya as he looked around. As papers are even over Naruto's bed. Time skip. Naruto was now 11 years old. "So, old man, did I pass?" As Harrison looked towards Naruto, there was no anticipation in his voice. It was like he already knew that he was going to pass, because he did. "Yes, you have passed your pre-academy tests. And like you predicted, there were those that attempted to sabotage you. However, they had been dealt with. Some people would probably say that Naruto was psychic, people that believe in that, because he was always seeing things before they happen, not physically or visually, but he always knew that something was going to happen either one way or another. As Naruto claimed that it was because he studied human behavior, that is why he was able to read someone so easily. Perhaps it was not the wisest move to let Naruto sit in on interrogations, but at least he was not sadistic. He just came and sat and took notes. He had switched to books after the amount of paper in his house had become suffocated. It had taken him a week to copy everything down in books, which were much more roomier and could be placed in the corner safely. But once he got that down, his space was now a lot more bigger. I don't see why you don't just skip the academy and become a ninja, Naruto. I mean, you've already sit in on interrogations and watched searches taking place. Although, you still have not told me where you see a man get decapitated. But I suppose, we all have our secrets, no do we? Yep, and thanks for the offer again, old man, but I'm not really that interested in becoming a drone so soon and killing everything inside of me just to go around and kill people. I don't mind living here, but I don't love enough to become a child soldier, which is something I told you to ban already. He had inherited his father's brains, but he also inherited his mother. Idealistic nature. Sometimes it seemed like he did not care, but sometimes it seemed like he cared so much that he put his entire soul and heart into it, willing to go beyond and above. Like I said, Naruto, we don't enforce it at all, and if someone wants to become a child soldier, we test them extensively to make sure, to avoid any psychological backlash of it. And how did that work out for Itachi, said Naruto. Sir Toby was stumped by that. Naruto was smart, but information had to be kept away from everyone for that safety. Itachi had quelled a rebel from the Uchiha clan. A rebel that would have crippled the village. However, he had to be branded as a traitor to make sure that the information was never leaked out. Your silence speak more than words, old man, said Naruto. Just want you to know, I'm not going to be taking this academy seriously. And pray tell me, what are you going to do when you're skipping classes? Ignoring the progress of making friends during this time. A friend in me is a pest, said Naruto. I'm going to do what I love best, working on seals. And there does seem like there's much time to do it. Time is a funny thing, isn't it? It passed by so quickly. It's fast at some movements, but it's agonizing slow when you want it to pass quickly. Why do you think that is, said Hirzan? The theory of relativity. That is why it's so universal, said Naruto. So is that all you want to tell me? That you're not going to take the academy seriously? As Naruto nodded, oh shit, he said, as he looked at Hirzan with a horrified expression in his face. This was the first time he cursed in front of the Hokage, and he seemed to have noticed it as well. I forgot the other thing here, said Naruto as he tossed something towards him. What is this, Hirzan said. That is a tiny canister of lacrimatory agent, or other people call it tear gas. Something that can be a complete pain to deal with in battle. I have tested for a bit, and this one tiny canister, once activated by Chakra, can last for about 5 minutes. The timer being there to escape before ambush. It can save a lot of life. I want you to try to improve it, as something your ninjas can carry. And what do you want in return, Sir Toby said. I want money, said Naruto. Trust me, this thing is the greatest thing ever. And once you're done using it, you're going to be throwing money in my face, because this thing will save a lot of life. As Hirzan looked over the canister, it was made of the same chakra metal that Asuma trench knife used. If this really worked, it was going to make Naruto rich. Very rich indeed. Time skip. Naruto was now 14 years old. Naruto sat in the classroom, and he couldn't say that it was familiar. He had barely showed up before the 2 years. And today he was here because he was bored, and he wanted to take a break from sealing. Maybe it was a fresh air that he craved. Or maybe it was the fact that a highly attractive girl had moved in the building across from his. He found out that her name was Mari. He didn't bother with the last name, but he felt strange. She has been doing things to him. He had studied biology and knew what was happening was natural, but it angered him though that the attractive girl could distract him that much from his job. As he found it really hard to think. And he needed to be able to think because he was working on his most difficult project yet. He called the Sea Tech Flyboard. The name sounded cool to him. Using a highly controlled version of the wind style gale jutsu that he saw many ninjas use in his spar, he realized he could use a board that could propel itself by using the gales and fly. It will take a very complicated jutsu circuit to pull it off at first, but once he had that down, the rest would come easy. That was not the only thing that he was working on though. There was something else, and it was called chakra splitting. The book that he read spoke about a person of yin and yang chakra, and Naruto has been studying chakra all these years, trying to find out if he could breathe life into something like the writer of that book had claimed. Some elders have even called that book to be ethically wrong for breathing life into something that should not be alive, even though Uzumaki's were against this work of art. However, Naruto knew what the man meant by breathing life into something. It didn't mean that he was going to bring people back from dead. Breathing life into an object was something to look into though. He knew that his work would go a lot faster if he could get a brain. However, he knew that was not ethical. So he decided to take the long road around. It would be fine if the thing didn't have any personality, because he wanted something that was controlled by him. Something that could work with him and help create the things that he wanted to create. As he had started sketching thing on the paper, however, Mari's breasts had distracted him. Those were probably the greatest invention that was ever made, because they were able to distract people from doing highly important work, mentally slapping himself from being that distracted once again. He started to think about his board. If he could patent it, he could make a shit ton of money. His tear gas grenade, or, as Naruto liked to call it, the C-Tech Crybaby, that was not the name that Hiruzen was fond of, had made him a lot of money. It had led to a lot of devastation, but it wasn't really that unique of a design, which is why he sold it. Some other villages already replicate the effects for themselves, and it was all square once again. However, this board was going to be special though. He was going to use the money from the grenade to make it. He was distracted as there was a pink-haired girl staring at him. Didn't your parents teach you not to stare, he said. He had to admit she was almost as pretty as Mari was. Here he go again. As he was finding the opposite sex to be more and more attractive, the more he grew. Yes, I know it's rude, but you're in my spot. So can you please leave, she said. Huh. Passive-aggressive much, said Naruto. Excuse me, she said. Who the hell do you think you are? No, that is just aggressive, said Naruto as he picked his things up. Why the hell did he even come here? As he started to leave the class. Hey, I asked you to leave my spot, not the classroom, she said. Yeah, I know, but I can't really concentrate if there are so much hot girls like you, he said. A small blush came on her face hearing that, but Naruto was already gone. Time skip. He was now 16 years old. Naruto was pushed back on the bed, as he was naked, glistening with sweat. But he wasn't the only one. Mari, Fubukui, was there as well, also naked. Naruto wasn't really one for physical activity. He did the occasional workout, but he did not grow so much muscles. After all, he didn't want to look like a bodybuilder, but he had to admit that sex was a physical activity that he was going to enjoy a lot, especially with Mari. Black hair, green eyes, and a perfect body to boot. If she looked like this when she was 16 years old, she was going to break a lot of hearts. By the time she matured into a fully grown woman, he wouldn't consider himself to be unattractive either. He realized girls stared at him, despite what their parents, most of their fathers, think. He couldn't care less about their parents, or the glares from their fathers. However, if sex was this good, maybe he should start to care a bit more. Mari's expression was one of complete bliss, because Naruto had a lot of stamina. You know, she said, my father really hates you. As Naruto smirked, dating what daddy hates. How more cliche can you get? So we're dating now, she said. You think that just because I had sex with you once, you can call me your girlfriend? Her tone did not sound like she was being serious, which he think was a good thing. I don't know. Are we dating? He asked. Well, I'm going to assume that we're dating, he said. Good assumption, she said, before climbing on top of him. As she kept on kissing him, he wasn't sure if he was ready for another round, however. He felt his blood pumping once again. You're so funny, and you're so good looking, she said, as she was still kissing him. Right back at you, said Naruto as he continued to kiss her as well. He wasn't lying. As she was fun to be around, she wasn't boring. Maybe it was because of her breasts. They always captivate him, he thought. So what is it in your house? I can't see, she said. A lot of things, said Naruto. There are some things that you can't begin to even comprehend, he told her. Does all this have to do why my father called you the fox brat, she asked. No, not really, said Naruto. She decided to abandon the conversation altogether. After all, she was ready once again. And he was pumped as well. Time skip. He was now 17 years old. Naruto had a big goofy grin on his face. He was happy, as he stared at what could be called the greatest invention in this world. The first and only artificial intelligence. He didn't really know what to call it officially. It didn't really have that much of a personality, so he called it AI. AI 1.0 version. Initializing. What would you like me to do first, sir? You just get right down to things, don't you? Said Naruto. Well, I want you to pull up some schematics for the flyboard for me, AI. Do it now, he said. Here are the schematics, sir. Would you like to make some changes on them? As Naruto was the first to integrate technology and chakra together. Truly, the first. Chakra tech. No one knew about this. As Naruto had sacrificed sleep for this. He hadn't even seen his girlfriend Mari in the last 3 weeks. No doubt she was worried, but right now he couldn't care less, as he continued to stare at the schematics. However, it was getting very hard to focus on more than one thing if he only had 10 more bodies. At that, an idea popped into his head. With his amazing chakra reserves, the more he grew, the larger it got. It was getting hard to control, as he realized that he had seen the clone jutsu several times. Why hadn't he ever used it before? Suddenly, there was a knock. Activating security system. One visitor detected. I believe it is your girlfriend Mari, sir, the AI said. The voice sounded much too mechanic. You'd have to fix that. As Naruto moved towards the door, he opened the door and there she was in all of her beauty. He had gotten rather attached to her. He even showed her some of his schematics, including telling her about his flyboard. Usually they went out, eat something or watch a movie. Then they either went back to one of their homes and make love. As he had grown quite used to this, he moved from different invention, but Mari was a constant in his life. She usually greeted him with a smile, but today it was not there. She didn't look happy at all. Hey Mari, he said. What's going on with you? Did something happen? Yes, something happened, she said. She then said 2 words that caused him to drop the pen that he had in his hand. Demon Fox, she said. Who told you? He asked her. It was supposed to keep a secret, however, Naruto still didn't understand why the Hokage didn't just be quiet about the whole ordeal, although none of the children around his age knew about it, to make him have some sort of normal life. I overheard my father tell my mother that he did not like the fact that we were going out. It all makes sense now, why they look at you that way. It's because you're a demon. Those words hurt Naruto deeply, hearing that from her. And most of all, you lied to me, she said. Were you trying to hoodwink me or something? Making me fall in love with you so that you can further use me for some plan of yours. Mari, you have to understand I am not— Don't say my name, she said, cutting him off before she slapped him. I gave everything to you. I know I realize that you're a demon. My life is ruined, she said, as she started to break down and cry. He wanted to tell her about the Kona and Scroll argument. Even if she understood, it was too late. She'd already damaged your relationship, and he couldn't look at her the same way anymore. It was my fault, he thought to himself. I got too attached. I wish I could tell you that I'm not the demon, I merely contain one. But, considering how you're behaving already, I think it doesn't matter what I say. Despite what I thought. I thought you were more intelligent, he said. He knew that she was lying about overhearing her parents. Mari was not that stupid of a girl. Someone had poisoned her mind. I know that someone has instigated you. Probably fill your head with all kind of garbage about how I'm a demon and how I'm just waiting to come out and destroy the village. But that's okay. One day you'll realize that I was really the guy that you fell in love with, and you're gonna be filled with regret when that happens. But I want you to know, rest assured, because after today, I'm not gonna regret this moment a single bit. She looked up towards him. I got too attached to you, and I need to make sure that never happened again. His voice went cold and calculated. It was my dad, she said. He's been telling me things about you for a long time, and for a long time I didn't want to believe him. But I don't even know what to think anymore. I'm so confused, she said. Why didn't you tell me the truth? He realized that probably she would have taken it well if he had explained himself, but hearing it from someone that was really biased probably messed with her head too much. He thought that he could celebrate with her after finish the world first artificial intelligence, but she wasn't here to celebrate. She was here to break up with him. Maybe I should have told the truth, but that's on me. However, I really don't have anything to say to you anymore, so just leave, he said. It was a whole 5 minutes before Mari left, as Naruto realized how lonely he was going to be. Jiraiya and the old man were that, 2 wise old people who had seen the world for what it is, and understand his condition, but other people were not going to be that understanding. Not everyone was going to accept him for what he was, especially the immature people. He was always going to be the one lost in the crowd. Is it safe to say that I should remove Mari from the accessible list, sir? The AI asked, as Naruto chuckled before he told the AI to do just that. Time skip. Naruto had changed after that. He had moved on quickly after what happened, and much to his delight and a twinge of sadness, Mari and her family had moved away from the building across from his home. He had considered turning Mari's father in for revealing his secret, a crime that was still punishable by death, but his heart was not that cold. The Hokage deemed him mentally capable of handling the backlash of a clone jutsu, so he picked it up. At the moment he was in deep thought. What are you thinking about? A female voice said. In 4 months' time, he would turn 18, and there was going to be a test to see if they were capable of being ninjas or not. People who failed the test did not get a second chance. They were doomed to accept their fate and move on to do something else. However, he was told that some of the failures worked in the crypto analysis department. He found it to be rather fantastic. However, he didn't really care about that at the moment. He was in his home and AI was keeping guard, as he had not changed her voice box for some reason. And he had also decided that his artificial intelligence was going to use female pronouns. She also has shown great skill at being self-teaching in, as Naruto had made sure that she never got ahead of herself. He used some seals to make sure that she was either snarky and cheerful as well, but nothing too much, as he had some future planning on future AI that could help with his research. I'm thinking about several things, Ami, said Naruto, but at the moment I'm leaving. Ami was the class bully. Strange, for the girls though, as she was the only girl bullying the class. The only bully really. However, she was rather attractive, so he used her for his carnal desires. But while she was good looking, she was no Mari. No one could be Mari. You know, said Ami, pulling herself up the bed sheets, falling down, exposing her chest. You could stay and we could go for round 8. As much as I would love to go to round 8 with you, Ami, I have much thing to do. So I'll see you around, he said as he got up. Wait, said Ami, what kind of work do you do? You barely show up for the academy, and no one really says anything about that. And they always see you in the electronics store buying things. So what exactly do you do that is keeping you from being here with me, she said. As Naruto couldn't believe it. Didn't she understand that technology always came before sex? Maybe not, she was a normal, mostly well-adjusted bully. He was pretty messed up. Tinkering, said Naruto, as he disappeared in the sunshine after getting dressed. As he reappeared outside of her building, he needed a voice actor, someone that could be the best voice for his AI. He just needed them to say a few phrases. He didn't want any lame ass, slow pitch voice anymore. So engrossed in his thoughts, he bumped into Sakura Haruno. As he knew her name by now, at first he did not. He had to say she was very good looking, as he was sure that there was a poll in the class about who was the hottest girl, and she was probably in the top levels, as she had filled out quite a bit. However, he was a bit turned off by the pink hair, but that was just him. Oh hey Naruto, what are you doing here, she said. Oh hey, said Naruto, I was just around. Although I could ask you the same question, what are you doing here? Oh well, Ami did not show up to class today, and I was instructed to deliver her homework. The reason why Ami did not show up to class was because she was being busy, schooled by Naruto. However, he was pretty sure that Sakura wouldn't appreciate being told that, so he kept that thought away. So, they didn't know each other that well, so he didn't blame her for not being able to talk to him that much. Are you going to be more regular at the academy? I mean, the exams are in 5 months, she said. Nah, I can ace those classes. No problem, said Naruto. Thanks for asking, as she nodded. Well, I have to get this homework to Ami, said Sakura, as Naruto realized that he was attractive to her, sexually, as she seemed to also be attracted to him as well, although she claimed that she loved Sasuke Uchiha, who was a fan favorite amongst the ladies, of course. However, Naruto was a really good looking guy. Another thing that he could get from her was her voice, and modify it to give AI a voice. Hey wait, I need your help with something. So how about after you give the homework to Ami, you come over to my place? I mean, I can tell you about what I want you to do on the way there, said Naruto, as she looked like she was considering it, before she smiled and nodded, as she proceeded to enter Ami building. She came back 5 minutes later with a scowl on her face. What happened, Naruto asked. The whole room smelled like sex, she said. It's disgusting. You know what sex smelled like, he asked, as she nodded, and she told him that she wasn't a virgin. No, that shocked him after all. Like the other fangirls of Sasuke, they want to save themselves for their Uchiha, so that was rather surprising. So what do you want my help with, she asked. I need to record your voice. I'll explain on the way, said Naruto. Time skip. Naruto wanted to seduce her, but he couldn't do it. She seemed like a nice girl, under the whole fangirl thing. So he decided not to get involved anymore. So after getting her voice, he told her that it was for a voice scrambler. He sent her off on her merry way. Now he was feeling a bit regret about even thinking of trying to seduce her like that. Face it, kid. You're always going to be alone because of what you are. As Naruto closed his eyes and sat down, he was pulled into his mind as he came face to face with that cage. He knew that this would happen at some point in time, that the fox was awake and just biding its time, as he looked at the golden bars of the cage, wondering if his father knew that he gave the fox a cage, as he heard heavy footsteps as he turned to stare right into the eyes of the nine-tailed fox. But guys, be subscribe right here. If you want to see the next part, and do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. And also guys, don't forget to stay in tune for the rest of what is coming your way, and I hope you guys enjoy each and every one of them. So yeah, without further ado, I'm off now. See you guys soon. Peace guys.